Hey everybody, I'm Lindsey Coleman, Beachbody Live Master Trainer, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to perfect and protect your voice while teaching group fitness. Now, I have a master's degree in vocal performance, and I actually used to make my living singing and teaching fitness at the same time, so I had to learn pretty quickly how to keep my voice protected in order to be able to use the muscle that I used the most frequently as well as I did. So I'm going to give you my 5 best tips on how to keep your voice protected and keep you teaching long into the future. Number 1, I want you to hydrate. Now, this is kind of an easy thing, right? Every fitness professional already hydrates, but a lot of times we hydrate too late, and this often happens in class. You start to feel a little tickle happening, and then you take a sip of water. That's too late. So what you need to do is start getting in the habit of teaching, when you teach, drinking 16 ounces of water about 2 hours before you teach. That allows you to actually hydrate from the inside out, because when you take a sip of water, it doesn't actually touch your vocal cords. But when you hydrate your body effectively, that means your vocal cords will be nice and supple and able to perform the best they can. So 16 ounces of water about 2 hours before. My second tip is to warm up your voice. Now, sometimes people give me some pushback on this, but think about it as an athlete. How do we start all our formats? We warm up the body in order to prepare your muscles for the harder work ahead. And that's the exact same thing that's happening with your voice. So get in the habit of, while you're driving to the gym, in the car, starting to do just some vocal eases in order to get your voice ready and prepared for your class. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could speak along to the radio, or you could recite your favorite poem, or you can do sort of just sounds that allow you to see where your voice is kind of sticking on a day so that you can go deeper into that. Anything on different vowels like me, me, ma, you can see where your voice feels a little bit tricky and then work deeper into that level. Then, when you get to class, you don't have to worry about trying to work through any kind of morning sleepiness or anything else that might hold you back vocally. Number 3, I want you to focus on posture and breath. Again, good news is, because you're a fitness professional, this is already something you're probably thinking about. But from the vocal perspective, a lot of times as instructors, we do things where we crane our necks and we're looking all around trying to get people and see people in different corners of the room. Or if we're doing PIO or something, you're in an inversion and your head's down and you're trying to lift it up. And even if you just noticed right now, when I lift my chin up, all of a sudden, I lose some of my vocal power. And so you really have to think about the crown of your head being nice and lifted. You can see in this nice high ponytail, right? It's really lifted so that the crown of your head is the highest point, keeping the cervical spine nice and in line. The more you do that, the easier it's going to be for the breath to come through and give your voice a nice projected sound. Posture is also helpful, and those deep diaphragmatic breaths where you actually expand on the inhale and come in on the exhale will all help you during class. So try and bring attention to that as much as you can. Number 4 is vary the vocal pitch, tone, and frequency, and be careful not to stay monotone during class. Again, I'm giving you an athlete reference because I know you can relate to that. If you think about a baseball player and they swing a bat over and over and over, even if they're doing it with perfect form and technique, they can get an overuse injury because they're doing that same motion so frequently. So it's the same thing with your voice. If you force your voice to be in a certain level and you keep it really, really low the entire time, that's going to start hurting your voice after a while. Now, we do have to be careful a lot of times with our voices that when we get into our higher registers, that we start to sound a little strident. It's not actually the pitch that bothers people, it's the frequency and the way that the stridency comes out. The best way to fix that is to round a vowel. So if you're doing something in turbo kick, for instance, and you say the word reach, A lot of times if we get really excited, we go, reach, and it gets really, really into that strident point. But if you just round a vowel and say, reach, and keep it a little bit more open, that's gonna allow you, A, to project more, and B, it's going to keep your voice in a nice consistency where people enjoy listening to it. So the more you vary that tone, that frequency, the pitch, the more you keep it really exciting during class, not only is it gonna protect your voice, but it's gonna make your class more exciting to listen to you teach. Number 5 is probably the most important one, and again, it's one that I get a couple of pushbacks on from time to time. But I assure you, if you do all these other things that I've listed, but you don't do number 5, you could still incur vocal damage. So number 5 is wear a mic. When you teach classes, it is so important to protect your voice. And in order to do all the things that I talked about before, if you have that mic, that gives you that ability to have that nuance in your voice while you teach your classes. You don't have to yell. You don't have to think about straining and pushing in order to get the projected sound that you need for people to do what they need to do. You can just speak. So please, please, if you're serious, if you want to do this forever, which I know you all do, please wear a mic. So those are my 5 tips, and I hope it'll help you in class to be able to teach for as long as you'd like.